They tell you that your zip code is your destiny. They tell you that a career path has to look a certain way in order to be valuable. And if you face enough loss, they expect you to eventually just give up. We've all heard it. You're just a product of your environment. You'll never bounce back from that. That's not a real career path. But today, we are talking to a man who took the very same fire meant to consume him and use it to sharpen his craft and solidify his soul. He didn't just survive the loss. He allowed it to lead him to a deeper devotion. On this episode of Surviving the Flame, we sit down with a true inspiration, a master barber, a mentor, and a man of unshakable faith who proves that your impact is measured by the lives you touch and not by the accolades you collect. I'm your host, Tavion Mickens, and if you're a dreamer who refuses to be labeled, hit that like button and subscribe. Now, take a look at these highlights from today's conversation. Like, some people literally legit never get the opportunity to truly just imagine that they can do something that they truly do love. You know what I'm saying? So to not only have that imagination, but also take the first step forward, you know what I'm saying? And one can only imagine how many times you probably failed before you got to the height that you're at right now. You know what I'm saying? But man, that's incredible, dog. That's incredible.
You want to leave the world better than you found it, right? So
Nice.
you know the mistakes you made, but then it comes to accountability. Like, if you're not able to keep yourself accountable, then you can't teach nobody else, because in your eyes you did nothing wrong.
Honestly, and I was just having this conversation with another friend of mine. You know, it's very hard for me to believe that we're only meant to be here to be of service to ourselves when there's over 8 billion people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I truly believe that if we were really meant to be here for ourselves, it would only be us.
And it goes back to my parents again. Like, they believed in me. Like, I didn't have the money to go to barber school. I had like $1,500 to my name, and it was $6,000. You know, so, like $6,000, $5,500 that you paid it up front. So they wrote me a check for $4,000. They said, "We don't want nothing back. We believe in you. We want this to be your career."
All right, family, welcome back to another episode of Surviving the Flame. If you enjoyed that preview, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so we can keep this flame burning together. Now, let's get into today's conversation. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Surviving the Flame. I'm your host, Tavion Mickens, and this is where we have lit conversations with ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And today's guest is truly no different from that, man. Today's guest is truly the definition of what it means to be refined by the fire. You know what I'm saying? He's a master of his own craft behind the chair. He's a mentor to many, and a man whose faith and ambition are only outmatched by his devotion to his family. You know, our guest today is and always will be a brother and a friend. So, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages and sages, and even the ones making minimum wages, please give a warm welcome to the one and only, one of the best barbers in the Northeast, Mr. Michael Robinson.
Appreciate the high praise, man. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to have you here, man. First off, you know, I want to go ahead and allow you to have this moment. So go ahead, put your city on the map, man. Where you from?
I mean, you could say Woodbridge, Virginia. Lived in Pittsburgh a little while I was younger, but spent most of my life here, so this is home.
I got you. And, you know, like, I'm glad that you mentioned that because, you know, we always talk about, you know, the flame on this podcast, you know, like looking back at the time between, you know, Pittsburgh and Virginia with everything that you experienced during the moves and everything like that. But talk to me a little bit about like the moves between the two and how did you feel like one encompassed home for you?
I mean, I was really young in Pittsburgh, so like I met friends out there and stuff, but I came back pretty early, about first grade. So I met friends out here. We first came to Falls Church and we stayed out there for a little bit, and then my mom met my stepdad at work, and then we moved to Woodbridge where my mom was previously lived before we moved to Pittsburgh.
Mm,
So once I got out here, we were in Woodbridge for so long that I don't feel like it affected me much because the friends I made out here were my like lifelong friends.
for sure.
But like really it was all about just me and my mom until she met my stepdad. That's all I really cared about. It was like just being there for her and seeing how hard she worked, and I didn't really want for anything, even though sometimes she feels like she thinks I should have a better childhood, but I had the greatest childhood, you know?
For sure, man. For sure. And you often mention that your mother is really like your rock to you, man. Like like your foundation. Like that's your best friend. How did watching her strength in certain phases of adversity shape the way that you approach your own challenges today?
Just that I guess life isn't perfect, but no matter what, like you can't stop. Like she had me to keep pushing for. Like there's times that she struggled, but she had help too. And then when she met my stepdad, like he was the greatest thing for us. So
Mm,
like it just goes to show you, like you keep working hard, and things will work out for you. I know sometimes it doesn't work out, but I mean, you got to think about what you're doing and what you need to change and why it didn't work out. Or if you really believe in God, like, you and me do,
for
like,
sure.
it happened for a reason. But just seeing how hard she worked, and when I used to get suspended from school, she used to take me to work with her because
Mm,
she had no days off. So
yeah.
all her coworkers would talk about how of a hard worker she is. So something I really took pride in.
And you're someone that, carries um a like a bit of a leadership trait to you, like a huge leadership trait to you, to a lot of the younger cats that are always around you and everything like that. So like, would you, how would you say, or like, were there any mentor or fatherly figures in your life that gave you that sense of mentorship, or taught you really how to lead, or where did you get that leadership trait? Did that start back then, or is it something that you just learned as you grew?
I don't know. I think it's just really about how you're raised.
For sure.
Like if you're good to people, if you want to see the best in people and how you apply that. Some people want the best, but they don't know how to apply it or go about it. But my mom always told me, like, even with my emotions, like, that's how you're wired. Like, don't try and change your emotions, embrace them.
Mm, mm,
So like mine is empathy. So if I see somebody hurting or see somebody going the wrong way, I'll always tell them, like, this might not apply to you, but if you hear something that clicks, take it. Like
for
I'm not
sure.
gonna, because everybody got different situations and ways to go about things. So I always tell people, I'm gonna give you my advice. It might not apply to you, but if you hear something that clicks, run with it.
Hey, that's facts. That's facts. And man, I know that like we've had a lot of conversations, like a lot of deep talks, but I feel like that's how a lot of our talks like really manifested and really grew, is based off of those moments where like we didn't really think that it could get that deep, or it just start off as a simple conversation, but because of like the empathy that we both show for one another, our our spiritual growth and our journey with God and everything like that, like I feel like both are a great testament to you know how strong of a bond that we have, but also like just those leadership qualities I was mentioning before. And I think you're absolutely right, man. Like when you have a strong foundation, or when you have like good leaders and parents like your mom in your life and things like that, like, and you have just genuine people around you all the time, you can't help but that bleed off a little bit into your characteristics and your personalities and things like that. And speaking of like you growing up and everything, um you talk about Woodbridge, Virginia as your home, but I know that like you rep Pittsburgh really heavy, so like being split between the two places, can give you a bit of like a dual identity. But do you feel like you have more of that Pittsburgh grit, or do you feel like you have more of that Virginia hustle, that shows up more in your work ethic today? Which one do you feel like you have more of?
I feel like if you say like you're got that Pittsburgh grit, it's more like blue collar, and even though Barber is considered blue collar, it's not that physically demanding, except for
Mm,
standing. So I mean, I think the hustle side pulls through more because even though I make good money, like I'm trying to do services now. I'm trying different
yeah.
things. I'm not content. I'm trying new stuff all the time, and I think that goes to the hustle side. But my ability to show up for work and like work through sicknesses or like whatever, like got some of the grit in there too. But I wouldn't really apply that to barbering and stuff. But when I was in retail, yeah, I would because I was a pretty hard worker.
No, for sure, for sure. And as we talk about your journey within your own career and you wanting more and not necessarily being satisfied with, where you're at, even though all of your clientele have nothing but positive things to say about you. And it speaks to just how much you care, not only about your clients, but about your work. Like there's very rare that you see someone that puts their absolute all into their work and constantly looking for ways to improve, whether it be the clippers that they're using, whether it be, trying to, expand to other different shops, especially when one shop is already giving you so much, but you're like, nah, like I know I can do more if I touch this demographic as well that may have, different backgrounds or different financial situations or whatever the case may be. Like I see that in your life a lot. You're constantly trying to find ways to improve and better. And, people often say barbers are like part-time therapists. I know we've had plenty of deep conversations, you know what I'm saying? But like when you're behind the chair, like how do you use your own experience to mentor people, sitting in front of you?
Um, just kind of like giving my life same way. Like I'm gonna tell you what I've been through. It might not apply to you, but if I see you making the wrong mistakes or like living beyond your means already as a young barber coming in, trying to tell them like like if you stay for 3 4 years, you'll be in such a good position. It's just one you want to leave the world better than you found it, right? So
Facts.
you you know the mistakes you made, but then it comes to accountability. Like if you're not able to keep yourself accountable, then you can't teach nobody else because in
That's
your
actually
eyes you
true.
did nothing wrong. So I mean, I just trying to help people out, like, but really on the other side, like, okay, I told you, but I'm not gonna beg you to do this. It's up to you to find out. And like the young guy in our shop, like he's just
Yeah,
gonna have to find out with time, but as time goes on, he's being more receptive. So
absolutely.
just not giving
Absolutely.
up on him, you know?
That's
Yeah.
very, very true. And speaking of not giving up, we talk a lot about like our Christian faith. We talk a lot about, being able to grow and shine, but also I feel like one of our most deepest conversations is learning how to be able to grow and shine in some of the hardest times in our lives. You've dealt with an immense amount of loss, an immense amount of adversity in your life, specifically when losing your child. In those moments where the world felt very heavy, what did growth in Christ look like for you on a daily basis?
It just really tested me to the fact that did I really believe that everything happens for a reason?
Mm,
And just having support and love around me and
no, for sure.
conversations that are hard to have once you get it off your chest, then it doesn't become easier, but it becomes easier to deal with.
No, for sure. For sure, for sure. I know that like, that's one of the main things that I truly do appreciate about our conversations is that like you never made it feel like coming to you about, the deep stuff seem overwhelming. But
Yeah.
if anything, like you always made me feel like, like bro, like this is a safe place, like no matter how deep or how bad it is, it is a safe place. Like when I, in this recent level of adversity that I just faced, you're the first person I called, not only because I had an appointment that day, but because like you make me feel very comfortable to just come to you and just be like, like this is what I'm going through or whatever. And it's different from people who just be like, dang, like that's crazy, whatever. But like your silence is a notion, and it shows that you're listening. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's a strong difference between listening and just hearing. Because a lot of the times, yeah, some people just need to vent, but you take the time to understand what exactly that person is needing in that moment. And I feel like you give them exactly what they need based on certain adversities or certain issues or whatever that you may be going through or that you may be facing. You know, like you let them know, like, bro, like, yeah, like it's hard, it's tough, but blase, blase, blah, we can do this. Or, you got to look at it from this angle or this lens or whatever the case may be, letting them know that it's deeper and it's bigger than the scope of things. Because honestly, and I was just having this conversation with another friend of mine, it's very hard for me to believe that we're only meant to be here to be of service to ourselves when there's over 8 billion people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I truly believe that if we were really meant to be here for ourselves, it would only be us.
Yeah.
But we're constantly interacting with other people. We're constantly an opportunity to lift people up because people go through stuff every day. You know what I'm saying? There's somebody out there who may have gotten laid off, may have, lost a child, may have be going through suicidal ideations, whatever the case may be, and they look completely fine. But simple acts of, hey man, how's it going? Like, how you doing? Or conversation, or like just kind acts of, hey man, I'm take care of the guy behind me, like whatever they got, like I'll do that, whatever. Or like the conversation we had not that long ago. I think I told you about, like, or both of us having a conversation about like giving money to the homeless and like, or giving money to like the less fortunate and things like that, and not necessarily caring about the approval of everybody else, but genuinely that's just because of what's in our heart to be able to do, and just bringing like the biblical sense of it all back into fray, and just how everything comes full circle to what it already says in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that your friendship, your leadership, your mentorship encompasses all of that, and all of that greatly. But I also feel like it's, like you said earlier and before, it's a great testament to just how influential your mom's grit and determination was on you, how other mentors and other friends and people's, attitudes were towards you, how that has affected you and made you move forward. And while we're on the topic of your mom, like, while you're chasing your dreams and, building your brand and everything, you also are supporting your mom through her health journey, but how do you balance the ambition of, you creating and building and improving your business constantly with, the heart and the weight of being a son as well?
I think it's just communication, like steady communication with her, making sure that if she's good or not. And by doing that, it kind of comforts me throughout the day, like knowing that she's doing good, even though, sometimes she might not give me the whole truth, but I got my
Mm,
stepdad for that.
yeah, for
But
sure, for sure, for sure.
but yeah, just keeping in contact with her, like constant praying, like believing that prayers work. And if it's what God wills, then that's what it will be. And my mom has no fear. That's another
Mm,
thing that helps me out is she has no fear. She's like, whatever happens will happen. Like she want to be with the Lord. She want to be with her grandson. So that would be selfish for me to want that, like, and worry about it when she don't even worry about it too much. Even though you're always gonna worry, but you find
right.
comfort in knowing that she's comforted.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. That's so very, very true. You know, you talk about prayer, and I know that it's very easy to hear the words, oh man, like just pray about it. It's very easy to say those words, but it's also different when you're going through, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I guess like a question that I'm trying to ask here is, has there ever been a time where it was very easy, or can you tell me about a time where it was very easy to pray about something, or where it was very difficult for you to pray about something, and how exactly did that play out in your favor?
Um, I don't know about I don't know if I answer the easy one. I guess that would just be routine prayer for what I pray for every day.
For sure.
But like when it's difficult, I guess when you do really have hardships and you're praying for things you don't understand, but
For
you
sure.
still do it because you believe you have that faith.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I think a lot of people can really learn and grow from that. Be so, but I do feel as though being able to be humble and being able to be, you know, truly releasing and not wanting to have control, which is very difficult for people in general, but to fully, truly release, wanting to have control over a situation, wanting to have peace, wanting to have, your financial situation change, wanting to have, like, a lot of people don't realize this, but, in the pursuit to trying to get something is where you tend to actually find the thing that you're trying to get. So like in the pursuit of becoming a United States Marine. I'll just talk about that. In the pursuit of becoming a United States Marine, I felt more like a Marine in boot camp during the worst times than I did when I actually earned my EGA and I was actually, in training and everything like that. When all that stuff was happening, like, you start to get like different taste of certain things. You start to see different leadership habits and things like that, but you start to realize that, like, at least just for the aspect of like the Marine Corps, you start to realize that, like, the purest part of that whole transformation was actually in the suck of it all. And it's not easy to view it that way, but at the same time, though, it's a lot of the time it's beauty in chaos. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we have to be kept there in order to necessarily appreciate what's going to happen on the other side of it. You know, but and speaking of, chaos and faith and specifically faith under pressure, a lot of people lose their way when they face the unthinkable. But what is it about your relationship with God that kept your faith intact when circumstances said otherwise?
I think it's just how I was taught to pray. Is like at the end, you pray for whatever you want, but you need to include if it's in your will, because then you don't feel like your prayers aren't answered. You just feel like your prayers are not with God's plan. That's with your plan.
Yeah,
So if you're praying for it to be in his will and then it happens, okay, thank you for being part of your plan. But and if it wasn't, then you're saving me from something or something that wasn't meant for me.
I feel
And
that.
so I just feel like in that chaos, like sometimes it feels like when you pray, it was like, yeah, I'm praying, but you still don't believe sometimes.
Hmm.
But then like something incredible happens and it just like restores your faith. You're like, man, like, I probably didn't deserve that, like, but I still got it.
For
Just like you
sure.
were talking about us giving like people money and worrying about what they're doing with it. Like, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
like how many times does God give us money and we messed it up and he's
Facts. Yeah.
still giving it to us. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, that's very true. That's very true. Who would you say that when you look at the content of your heart, you have a very big heart, you're very empathetic, but when you think of the type of person that you want to be, who exactly does that look like? Is there a person that, like, that impacted you, whether it be at a young age or now, or that you look and you're just like, man, like, I hope to one day be like that guy?
mm, nah, pretty young. I was like, just like, you know, little kid idolizing Hoopers and stuff, wanting to be like them. But
Yeah.
any characteristics, like it all goes back to my mom. Like she's just a
Mm,
stand up person.
for
And then
sure.
my dad that stepped in, he always let me know like I won't over try and take this position, but I'm here if you need me. And he's been there for me ever since. Like I'm super grateful for him. Like that's my dad.
Yeah.
And he's a stand up person too. Like I remember after high school, like, he didn't want me to be a bum like some people on my biological father's side, so he was
Mm,
like, "If you go I don't think you will, but if you go without a job for 3 months, you're joining the military." And it's like he
mm-hmm.
lit that fire under me, like but I always knew it was tough love because I knew he
Yeah.
cared about me.
Yeah.
So, like, having both of those, it really, really helped me.
That's awesome, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
people I look up to.
And speaking of that transition into becoming a barber, how exactly did that even like come about? Like, how did you know that becoming a barber is what you were going to pursue with the utmost passion and the utmost like grit and determination? Like, how did that even come about?
I think that just goes to show you like God's plan again because I worked retail all the way until I was 31. Like I didn't see a way out. I was struggling, like just tired of it. I knew what my check was gonna be every week. I didn't get to see my family much. Like people treat you like crap. So one Black Friday, my manager told me I can go home in Richmond, get a couple extra days, see my family.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay. So our district manager came in and he got on a power trip and told me I couldn't go. And basically, something just clicked in my mind. And I told him, I was like, well, you can fire me if you want. I know you don't because I carry my mom's work ethic with me. I
Yeah.
keep that store together. So I was like, but when I come back, I'm stepping down part time. I'm gonna go pursue barbering. If you want to fire me, that's fine, but I'll handle the day to day for you. And I told him specifically, I'll handle the day to day for you for 2 months, but that's it. Then I'm going to barber school. I didn't know where barber school was. Like I was just like, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna try and make it happen.
Yeah.
And so I went and got a haircut too from my barber a couple weeks later. And I was kind of down, and he was asking me what was up. And I was like, I'm just tired of this retail life. And I think I want a career change. Like every time I come in here, you guys are listening to music. You guys get to watch ESPN, dress how
Yeah.
you want,
Yeah.
like at work.
Yeah.
I was like, I think that would be a great environment for me. And you remember how much time I told my manager I'll give him, right? 2 months. He said,
Mhm.
well, in 2 months, I'm opening a barber school. So like something just like uplifted me
Word.
like right there.
Yeah.
And so I signed up. The rest is history. And now I've been cutting for 10 years and it's the best decision I ever made.
That's amazing, bro. That's amazing. Just like how, when you really put your focus in on what you feel like you're being called to do,
Yeah.
and doors just open up for you. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And that's why I feel like it's so very important, and it's very fortunate for people to find their calling at such a young age, or not even at such a young age, but like, period. Like, to be able to know that your heart is attached to something is a true, true, honest gift. Because some people never even get that opportunity, whether it be to think that they can be the best that they can be, whether it's to dream the big dreams and big goals that they have for themselves. Like, some people literally legit never get the opportunity to truly just imagine that they can do something that they truly do love. You know what I'm saying? So to not only have that imagination, but also take the first step forward. You know what I'm saying? And one can only imagine how many times you probably failed before you got to the height that you're at right now. You know what I'm saying? But man, that's incredible, dog. That's incredible.
And it goes back to my parents again. Like they believed in me. Like I didn't have the money to go to barber school. I had like $1,500 to my name, and it was 6 grand. So
Mm.
like 6 grand, 5,500 if you paid it up front. So they wrote me a check for 4 grand. They said we don't want nothing back. We believe in you. We want this to be a career. Because I used to cut my cousin's hair back in the day, but I knew nothing about fading. But man, it was a hard process in barber school. We had to go through 1,500 hours back when I was in school, but
Mm.
it was worth it. Like everything's worth it. And I know that's God's plan because it opened the door to all these new people that I've met, like you. I started cutting my pastor. I ended up going to his church, shout out Lamp
Yeah.
Church. And, small congregation where we were in his basement, but they got blessed enough to go into a building. And it's just so much love there. And like I know that's his plan because without meeting all these people, without my career change, I would have never met these people in retail. Like I know God would have probably found his way into my life, but it's just like so immense. Like
Hmm.
the love that I feel, the people that I've met, like everything happens for a reason. You just kind
Yeah.
of, for real, it sounds corny and cheesy sometimes, but let go. Like,
That's very true. That's very true, man. And it's like, you know, I think we've had a conversation in relation to this before, but it's we have free we have free will. We don't have free choice. You know what I'm saying? So like, we have the will to be able to, choose A or B. We don't have the choice to have C, D, E, or F. You know what I'm saying? So we can't wake up tomorrow and just be billionaires. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
While it would be lovely, but at the same time, it's like, nah, we ain't got that opportunity. So I love how you said, I love how you said that these opportunities happen the way that they did. And while you do feel as though God would have found his way into your life regardless, but it was this way that you needed to go. And, I feel as though a lot of people need to know that, sometimes it's not going to happen the way that you think or the way that you want it to happen, but the way that it does happen, you do have options. One option clearly may be tougher, but it's the way that you need to go, and one option may seem easier, but actually if you end up going down this road, it could actually be very challenging for you in the long run. You know what I'm saying? So I really do love that. If who has there been a barber that you've met that has influenced you as far as like your cutting style or like your treatment of your patients or anything like that? Like, has there been, whether it be a barber or even just a person in general that you've cut that just made you rethink about the process of how you cut?
No, because there's not one way of fading. So I think I've picked apart like people's styles, like somebody with the scissors, or somebody to get that bald line out easier. Like it's just been
Mm,
like a multitude of people. Because as you know, we have 10 chair or 12 chairs in our shop, 10 barbers. So
yeah.
like over the years, over 10 years, like I picked apart a lot of people. But I think a lot of my, like how you said, treat customers comes from my retail side of it, because there's other
Yeah.
barbers that come on, instead of like, hey, like
Mm,
make them feel like respected, like,
yeah.
and although it's not always that uptight up that has to be like that, but there are some people that would love to be greeted like that instead of being called like
Mm,
a dog or something like that. But no, I think it's just retail, and it starts from the top. The standard that they set is the standard you want to keep at the shop. So, like, if the
right.
owner or manager's not there, or if I'm managing, and I like to keep it a certain way, keep it not just for the barbers, but it's the people that we're serving, because without them, we won't be standing as a business. So, you want it to be clean. You want people to be friendly. You don't want to make people feel like an inconvenience and they come in for a walk in and you're like, I guess I can get you, like.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
you want people to walk in and feel welcome, feel like they're about to get a cut that could possibly like change their entire mood or like trajectory of like whatever. I personally know like being in the chair, being at Blaze Barbershop, like that environment is such like it's such a warm welcome environment. Like you go in the Blaze, it's kind of hard to leave and still be in a sour mood. You know what I'm saying? There's so many conversations going on. There's so many, talks about, and speaking of those talks and conversations, like have you ever, even like as a kid, do you have like or like even like your time as a barber, like do you have a conversation that's like, man, like I will never forget this one time where I cut this dude or when this act happened, or like do you have one of those joyful or even crazy moments that happened as a barber?
oh yeah, I remember early in my career, my boy Wise, shout out Wise. He was wearing these grilling sandals, right? But the toes were
Mm.
not right, so like
Ah,
no,
no.
nobody could cut for like 5 minutes because one dude just started flaming them, and like just little stuff like that. Nothing crazy, but just like
Yo.
you know, just good times, good moments. And there's of
Yo.
course, bad moments too, where you're like, dang, I remember where I was when that happened. But
Mm.
I mean, you'd rather focus on the good memories, right?
Yeah, no, for sure,
Yeah.
bro, for sure. All right, man. We're making a transition right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we transition into questions from the fire pit. So, in questions from the fire pit, what's gonna happen is we're gonna ask quick rapid fire questions. You answer them as fast as you can.
Okay.
So any questions before we go into it?
Nope, let's get it.
Alrighty. So, uh, talking about Steelers legends. All right. Who do you think is better, or who would you rank higher as a Steelers legend? Would it be Terry Bradshaw or Ben Roethlisberger? I don't know how to pronounce that guy's last name.
Roethlisberger. As a legend,
Mm,
oof. I mean, Terry won four.
mm,
Two back to back both
yeah,
times.
yeah,
So like, I wasn't around that environment to really know the lore of it. You know what I mean?
for sure, for sure.
But all the stats been put up. I mean, that's my goat for my generation. I can't really speak on the past, so in my eyes, I gotta say Ben, because I wasn't around back then to judge the two. Kind of like how a lot of people say LeBron is the GOAT when they have
Yeah.
never seen Jordan play.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. All right. So when it comes to game day, which one has a better atmosphere? Would you say Heinz Field or a local VA high school rivalry?
oh, that's Heinz Field all day.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
Like,
You know, just
against the
thought
worst
maybe.
team.
Ah, damn. All right. Yep. I don't know.
My
Like,
high school football team, I mean, cause my bad.
no,
My
you
high
good.
school football team, it gets good around the playoffs, but not like every day. Like,
Ah, got you. And see that's why I was kind of like, you know, I'm not from the VA area, you know, so I'm
yeah,
like, I don't think he's gonna answer this one, but like, I
yeah.
think it's gonna lean more towards Heinz Field. You
Oh
know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
oh yeah. Glad you
But
still called it Heinz too, and not Acrisure. A good man for that.
yeah. So when discussing the GOAT, all right, who's the greatest Pittsburgh Steeler of all time?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Ooh, we can't answer that, man. I guess you gotta go by like you might have to go. There's so many greats, you might have to go by position. But
Okay. Well, how about
defense,
top three?
okay. Again, like I gotta go with players I've seen. You know what I
Okay,
mean? Like,
for
'cause you
sure.
gotta give Jack Lambert, like
Of course,
Joe
yeah.
Green, and
Of
Lynn
course, yeah.
Swan, and all those guys. But in my time, like you gotta put Troy up there.
Mm.
Um, Oof, that's tough. I mean, I love TJ, like that's my
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. I
But
would say, I know you got to be up there for sure.
but oof, yeah, Troy, TJ, and I
Before you
remember.
answer that last one, it could be a coach as well. You can add a coach
Okay,
in
I
there as
mean,
well.
shit.
Okay.
We've only had three in like 70
Yeah,
years, so
yeah.
like I grew up kind of watching Cower, but not like as like I did. But there's two different style types that you can take what you like from each coach, you know.
For sure.
But yeah, so what would we say? Troy, TJ, and I don't know. I really liked the Butts. I liked how big he was and how agile he was, and just running people over. I remember creating
Yeah.
action off of him, like 400
Right, for
pounds,
sure.
6 feet, just running people over. But
Big boy.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
tough. Like we might be here another hour if we think about that.
I got you. So when talking about early picks for the next Super Bowl, all right, who's your way too early pick to win the next ring?
Next ring. I think the Rams have a really good chance on the NFC side, but
Yeah, you're right. Facts. True.
oof, man, we gotta see how this draft play out. I got us finally winning the playoff game, but
Yeah.
I feel like the Bills, man, like they've been struggling so long. I feel
Yo.
like they finally pushed through. I feel like they finally pushed it.
I think.
Let me say my pick now.
Hey, I feel you though, but I agree though. I agree. I feel like besides being a Bills fan, like I also do agree. I feel like like this next year, man, it's a coin flip. If I'm be honest with you, because with this new coach, I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It could go good. And then we could just see the same thing all over again. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of work to do, but I do feel as though the certain changes being made. The Steelers is another, thing you don't really know. The Giants, you don't really know. It's a coin flip with a lot of teams and who's gonna make it, at least to the playoffs. Let alone who's gonna win the ring. So, but I like your pick. So as far as let's talk a little bit about soundtracks, man. We got, who are you listening to more? If there was an artist that you had to listen to all day, out of these two, would you listen to Leon Bridges or would you listen to Marvin Gaye?
It's Leon. It's
And
Leon.
I'm not mad. Honestly, it's good. I guess I'm just mad it took you so short of a time. Like, it was like,
Yeah,
all right,
no disrespect to Marvin.
that's
It's
it.
just Leon's so versatile when you talk about listening to him all day. His first
Mm,
album sounds like that Motown doo-wop. His second album
yes, he
sounds
did.
kind of pop. Third album's kind of upbeat. Like, so
Mm,
when you talk about listening to longevity, I feel like you can listen to different styles within one person.
yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I agree. I agree. I think that Leon definitely has a lot of longevity. I feel like Leon is so slept on, man. But nonetheless, he is a phenomenal artist. Nonetheless,
And you know how you know he's a good artist is when you look back and you've been like, dang, he's been out for 10 years.
yes, right. And it's just like, man, like, his. I don't think he has one flop album. I don't think there's not one album where I listen to it and I'm like, more than 2 songs, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, no, I'm not really feeling this. And if I'm not feeling it, it's just because it's not my groove of music. It's not because it's trash, but it's just because,
You
like,
might feel it later.
right, but I might feel it later.
Different time.
Exactly. It's just like in
Yeah.
that moment, I'm not feeling it,
Yeah.
but all of his albums are just top tier, man. Speaking of music, let's change this over to the vibes a little bit. When trying to get a vibe, are you choosing more old school R&B or 90s East Coast rap?
I guess that again depends on what you're doing, Like if with a girl, it's nighttime cruising after a date, you want to listen to that R&B, but you driving to the basketball court or about to do something like something
Yeah,
active,
yeah,
rap.
for sure.
So
You'd be surprised how many people actually would agree that 90s rap, no matter what you're doing, even if they are picking up a girl, you know what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah.
like, I bet you wear Black Forces to sleep.
Yeah.
It's
we listen to music so much at the shop is I really don't listen to music much outside the shop. It's mostly podcasts.
for sure. And I appreciate the support. I know you've been supporting the channel like since really I told you about it. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely do appreciate that. And speaking of the shop, another portion of this question from the fire pit, when we're talking about tools, you know what I'm saying, do you favor or like which one would you say is more, you know what, I'll let you decide the category, but we're just talking about barber tools, clippers or straight razor?
So I mean they're for different things, right? So clippers cut hair, straight razor is for the razor shaves and stuff like that. So I mean I use different clippers for different things. I have a powerful clipper just for debulking. Somebody has a lot of hair, so I don't want my clipper that I put on their head to get hot, so I use a different clipper for that. Right now my favorite are the Gamma Shorties. They don't get hot, they cut really well, strong motor. And then for trimmers, I have different ones for different things, like removing facial hair or balding the hair, and then shape up ones. So I kind of got multiple tools for multiple things. And some people might say it's overkill, but it's all about the comfort of the client. Like you don't want to put, use the clipper side or whatever, the cool care and cool your stuff down. But do you want to have to take time to do that all day during like a busy Friday or Saturday? So I just have different things for different tools for different things, just like any craftsman would,
Right.
So, and they're expensive nowadays if you get the right ones, but it makes your job easier in my eyes, and it makes your product look better to me. Like you can do a clean fade with a cheap pair of clippers, but it might not make the client comfortable getting hot too easy or whatever. So technology is insane these days.
No, for sure. Speaking on morning rituals, prayer or a fresh cup of coffee?
It should be more prayer, but it usually ends up being fresh cup of coffee. I have to work on that a little bit.
Understood. When you think about the best song, man, if you could listen to one album for the rest of your life, like you at least have to listen to this album, I would say album in its entirety at least twice a day. What album would that be?
Man, one album. I don't know. It'd have to be like somebody's greatest hits, cause
I got you, got you. I feel
like
that.
I don't know if I could answer that honestly.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I have no answer for that.
Or who would you say is your GOAT? Like when you think of like, greatest artist of all time, who would you say that is for you?
We might have to just go back to Leon. For
No, I feel
real.
that. I feel that.
Because yeah, I don't know. I can't really choose that. I'd rather have like voice memos of the people that I loved if I have to listen to anything. Like that would be
Yeah.
more than me just music, but I don't know. I'm not really in love with music right now. I used to love music when I was younger, but it's
Yeah,
just I'm
you
not
are
older
around
and
music
falling
all the
out of it.
time.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So last question from the fire pit, man. Describe the feeling of finishing a perfect fade in just one word.
One word. Satisfaction.
Perfect. All
Like
right.
when I
Well,
hand him the mirror, my bad. When I hand him the
no, no,
mirror
you're
and I
good.
see him smile, like that's
Yeah.
why I'm doing it, you know? Like I know they're gonna go out there feel confident about themselves.
No, for sure, for sure. That I feel like that's just a testament to the pride and the joy that you have within your work and constantly trying to improve yourself and trying to find ways that always encompass like you know how can I make me as a brand better? How can I make sure that this person leaves and feels just as good about himself as I know this cut looks on him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I definitely appreciate that. Transitioning out of the fire pit and looking more into like the future for you. What would you say? Are there any projects that you either want to do or that you're working on or that you hope to do, whether it be personal, professional, um, uh, spiritual, psychological? Is there any type of project that you're working on that like you really hope to complete, and why?
Only project I'm working on is becoming who I wanna be and not who I think I am.
Ooh, talk about that a little bit.
Because we talk about God a lot and like being like him, but I still feel anger towards people. Like I still like sometimes quick to like have a bad thought about somebody instead of love in my heart.
Yeah.
So like I struggle with that, and because in my heart, like that's who I want to be. That's who I know I need to be. But still, sometimes I act outside of that character. So that's what I
Mm,
mean by working on that of who I should be rather than who I think I am.
right. And as we talk about that, I have a follow-up question for that, but only because it made me think about something else. So the question is, what is something that you're most proud of, even if no one else claps for it? So we all know that like you're a great barber and everything like that. You take care of your mom, you know, but like what is something that outside of the eyes of everyone else, something that like you just personally hold on to and you just focus on? What is something that you are personally more appreciative of, even if nobody else can bat an eye towards it?
I think just knowing how genuine I am on my end, like when I talk to somebody, like really having people's best interests at heart and not being nosy, wanting to know just to know, like wanting to
Mm,
know is there anything you need, anything I can help with, and knowing that if you and me have a conversation, you knowing 100% everything I say to you is true because
facts.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna BS you, like if I don't know, I don't know, but we can figure it out.
Right.
And
No,
I
that's for sure.
just my ability to take accountability too, like when I'm wrong, it takes nothing away from me to admit that I'm wrong. Like I don't
Mm,
feel like I have less power with that person or whatever. Like I want again, it comes to being genuine. Like we know we're wrong. Am I gonna try and talk my way out of this? Or am I gonna be like, you know what? I didn't mean to do that, but I saw how it made you feel. So
right.
even though it wasn't wrong in my eyes, it is wrong because it made you feel this way. It's like
Right.
so just being genuine, man, that's everything to me.
Yeah. It's crazy how like pride can really keep you from being the best version of yourself. Like something that I'm very proud of is that after years of misunderstanding, miscommunication and things like that, like I finally had the courage to mend a relationship with my father after years of hurt after years of, thinking something was one way and really it was another way, like me feeling as though like he didn't care because he didn't show up during certain ways or whatever the case may be. Um, the pain of wanting him to show up in certain times of my life and feeling like he didn't want to be there. I finally had the courage to put down my pride and just go to him and just have a conversation about what it was that I was feeling and everything like that. And, fortunately enough, like, my dad is the type of person, my biological dad, that is, he's the type of person that is very open to any conversation, no matter how bad it's going to make him look. I didn't always grow up thinking that. I didn't always grow up knowing that, but like now that I'm an adult, like I can go to him and just have that conversation. But the reason why I want to have that conversation with him is, number one, like we both know that, you cannot enter the gates of heaven with hate on your heart. You just can't do that. And I grew up with a lot of animosity towards him. Not only that, but like he may not have been the best father figure to me, but I don't know what's to happen in the future where that way he can be someone that my daughter can find value in, that my wife can find value in whatever way that may be. And I may find value in the future as far as, I don't know anything, but it's just like I I cut off a completely different avenue of growth by not trying my best to at least put my pride down and be like, you know what, like let me at least try. You know what I'm saying? There's no harm in trying. If things don't go out, or if you see the way that they are and that you don't need to progress in that way or whatever, then hey, it is what it is. But I truly believe that as far as like, if you know that there's an opportunity to mend a relationship, to, just apologize for something that you may have done wrong or whatever the case may be, like if you know that there's a way for things to get better and you have control, I feel like you just said, like put the pride down, man. Just put the pride down, have the conversation. And if it goes your way, then cool. But if it doesn't, then I mean, like it's just a lesson learned and you keep moving forward, but I was really curious about that as we, talked about, the relationship between, certain people and in your growth, not only in your business, but in your professional and your spiritual life as well. But as we look towards the future, when we think about memory versus accolades, you've reached a point where you value, more memories over trophies. And if your family were to describe Michael Robinson's legacy, you know, 30, 40 years from now, what's the first thing that you hope they would still say about you?
Probably just that anything I could do for anybody, I would do. That I was loving, you know, um, that I really cared about the people around me
For
and
sure.
wanted the best for them.
For sure. For sure. And I mean, speaking of the people around you and people wanting the best for people, what is one piece of truth, you can leave with them, in a sense of like, what type of advice would you give someone that's currently going through a struggle that they
That this is not the last time you're gonna feel pain or torment or struggle in your life. So figure out how you cope with it, and whether that be, going to find a new hobby, finding God. I think that's important. But sometimes you need fillers, like find like-minded people like you, because sometimes you try to fit in and you're not gonna share the same ideas and things, values that you might feel, but you're hanging out with these people because you like them, they're cool or whatever. Like, really just stay true to yourself and just trying to figure out how to deal with it, because it's not going to be the last time.
For sure. For sure. And last question here for the podcast. When you look at the life that you're building now, taking it all in, the moves from Pittsburgh to Virginia, Virginia to Pittsburgh, back and forth, the relationship with your mom, the relationship with your stepdad, the relationship with um, certain people in your life that were intimate, certain relationships that fell through. When you look at the growth in your business as a barber, when you look at where you're going, where you started, the people that you encountered, the people that you made feel good about themselves, the good that you put in the world, even if nobody else saw it, but the good that you know you did put in the world. You know, when you look back at life as a whole, what brings you the most peace?
Um, I don't know because I really just like I'm the type to like even though I know like what we do won't get us into heaven or whatever.
Yeah,
Like I always wish I could have done more or like think about what else could I have done. But just knowing that the good that I have done for people, if it did make a difference in their lives, the people that came to me from, I cut a guy from, he moved here from Florida. He went through a divorce and found a new wife, had a kid with her, like just stuff like that. And I was there, like you said, it's about therapy. Like all
yeah,
the people that I could have touched or God used me to help comfort their lives. Like I know God's used me in situations to help people. I just hope I acted on that voice enough.
right. No, absolutely, and that's exactly why, you know, it's moments in his conversations and his answers like that why like I knew for a fact, like despite how long I've been wanting to get you on the podcast, or how many whatever led to like us not being able to schedule at that time, like it's answers like that that, you know, still made me want to be like, you know what, no matter what, like I gotta have my boy on a podcast. Definitely want to, you know, chop this up and have this conversation because dog, like your humility, your grit, your determination, it is all something that not only people could use and people could be inspired by, but it's something that a lot of people who are goal oriented like yourself and who are just ambitious but also are humble at heart all have in common. You know what I'm saying? And it's just amazing, brother. And I definitely do appreciate your time, and everything like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, try to uphold my word, but in this episode I feel like I did just that. Mike, thank you so much for being, you know, vulnerable and sharing your adversity, and sharing that adversity is an aid to success more than it is a hindrance to it. But before we go ahead and close it out, is there anything else that you want to leave with the people?
No, just trust God. You're at where you're supposed to be at, not where you want to be. You're going by His plan, not your own. As long as you remember that, and you'll be good.
The quote of the day, which is, courage is very important. Like a muscle, it is strengthened by use, which I feel like plays truly into, you know, what you just said about, you know, trusting yourself and, you know, despite what things look like, trusting God. You know what I'm saying? If you jump, I promise you there's going to be something there for you to land on. And it may not be what you imagine, it may not be what you want to in that moment, but it's going to be something that you can use to project you to where you're trying to go. You know, so once again, brother, thank you so much just for being here, sharing your light and sharing your ambition. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys for listening. If you made it this far, please make sure to click the link in the description to take you to mickensnation.com. Thank you so much just for once again coming on and, you know, being vulnerable and showing that anything can happen when you not only believe in yourself, but when you put your first foot forward and you just keep on going. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, click that link. Check out mickensnation.com to get all different updates regarding not only Surviving the Flame, but any other, you know, updates that you guys want to see from any other projects that I'm working on, and also get you guys a cut from Michael Robinson's Booksies, link in the description as well. And as always, spread kindness, spread peace, spread love. This is Surviving the Flame, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you all so much for the support and always tuning in to your favorite podcast geared towards helping people through tough times with tough conversations. Thank you all. And as always, spread kindness. This is Surviving the Flame. See you next time.